This is Information Station JW with yours truly, back with you guys on another episode. So glad to be back with you guys on another week. Listen, I want to tell you guys I appreciate you reaching out, asking your questions, and giving me your likes and subscribes to the channel. Look forward to bringing you guys more content in the near future, and hopefully you guys will enjoy and continue to enjoy the channel, and it will be beneficial to you. That being said, I am very excited today. I have a product that I want to review. This is actually a personal favorite of mine. I really love this device. It's called IBobber. For those of you that do not know what the IBobber is, I'm going to say to my tackle men and women, boys and girls, you guys pretty much know what this device does. But for those that do not know, the IBobber is a sonar device which enables you to track and basically find the fish from the bank. What makes this little thing unique, the technology that actually runs this device is nothing new. This has been around for eons and eons. However, if you had a boat and you had a fish depth finder that was stationary to your watercraft, this is something that becomes second nature to you. But what makes this so unique is that this looks like a traditional bobber. Okay, you got your little white color on the top and you got the red on the bottom. Most people know this traditionally as the, bobber that you always use. They have in multiple different sizes. Okay, what makes this anything but traditional is that this allows you to find the fish, map out the terrain, if you will, and it will tell you how deep the fish are. Now that's pretty significant because if you don't have a boat and you are restricted to the bank, pretty much you just have to sit in one spot and just hope that the fish will bite. This pretty much evens out the playing field. You're restricted to the bank. You can hook this up to a fishing pole and you can cast out and you are able to see what's going on down there. Now, there are some that say, well, that's cheating. But to you, I say, what is the point of fishing if you do not catch any fish? Okay. Now, you may think, well, it's the sport aspects of it. You're supposed to be out there and trying to find the fish. Okay, well, my idea of fishing is not to go out there and sit and just enjoy the elements. And since I do not have telepathy with the fish to tell them to come to me, then I have to go where they are. Therefore, this little dude helps me to do exactly that. Now, I will say right off the bat, this thing is marketed as a traditional bobber in that you actually hook this to the line that you're fishing with, and it has a feature on here, it's called a strike feature, that will allow you to know when fish is on. Okay, and once fish hit it, you see the bobber go down. Well, this got a little alarm in the app that you can turn on, and once the fish hits it, you'll know that there's a fish on. Now, I do not recommend, and I will say right off the bat, if you're like me, when you are casting out sometimes, you will get hung up in some trees. Sometimes when you are reeling in, you're not familiar with the lake, whatever you're fishing at, and you're reeling in and you get hung up, then that could be a very, very serious problem for you. And you may ask why. I'm glad you asked. Reason why I say that is because this device costs about $100. Now, granted, you could probably find it on eBay, Amazon for, $20, $30, $40 cheaper. Okay. When I purchased it, it was $100. All right. Now, I don't use it as a traditional bobber. I take this and I hook it up to an additional reel and rod. And what I do with it is I just cast out. I don't put any hooks on it. Just hook this up to the line. I cast out maybe about 10, 15 feet. I allow this thing to do what it's going to do, which is just basically map out the area. It tells me if there's any fish in the area and how deep they are. Okay. Now, you may say, well, I want to use it for to know when fish are on. And granted, it will do exactly that. And in fact, it's got a feature on it that at nighttime, it will actually light up when the fish hits. So you can see that thing on top of water. If it goes under, it will light up as well. If you want to chance it and basically get hung up and that line snaps and you night fishing, I highly doubt that you're going to jump in that water to retrieve this thing. I just don't believe you're going to do it. In the daytime, if you're fishing and you done cast it out 30, 40 feet, you're reeling in and it gets hung on something, and the only means for you to get your line back is to basically break it, then that's pretty much $100. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. You ain't getting that back. Unless you're swimming out there to get it, which I highly doubt that you're going to do. Now, to activate this thing, I will say it's pretty straightforward. Out of the box, it comes with this little cradle. You turn it upside down, white side down. It has a little recess in the little cup thing feature here. You push those down in there and you turn it clockwise. Once it's clockwise, you can do that. You know it's in there correctly. Hook it up. Solid light comes on. It's charging. When it's through charging, the light will blink. You will know then that it is done charging, and it will stay on up to 25 minutes after you have basically charged it. Now, this thing will stay charged, I understand, for somewhere around 10, 11 hours. So pretty much, you're fishing all day. It's going to, do what it needs to do. That being said, then what you want to do is after you've charged it, you'll put it on your line, pretty much sync it up. And when you cast it out on the water, it will activate. In other words, it will come on and they tell you to basically reel it in real slow, recast it out, hits the water and it reels in. What it's doing is it's mapping out the terrain and telling you pretty much, basically program itself to see what's in the water. Now, the good thing about this, you don't have the full features as the ones that are stationary on the watercraft and that you can move all over the lake. But the good thing about it is if there's no fish in the area, you can pretty much reel this thing in and move around. Walk the bank until you find some fish, okay? The whole point of fishing is to basically be out there to catch some fish. And if you're not catching no fish, then what's the point of being out there? Okay, I can enjoy the elements. Yes, I do that. But my whole point and objective is to catch some fish. Yeah. So I will say this one more time. Do not use this as your 1-2 go all bobber when you're out there fishing. Okay. Do not, because fish will be on and something could potentially happen where your fish get off, hang you up, you snap that line. And not only is fish off, bobber's gonna be off too. And $100 down the drain, okay? So, get you an extra pole, put this thing on it and allow it to do what it's supposed to do. You can also tie this off on the back of a canoe. It will do the same thing if you're paddling around the river, lake, bathtub, whatever. It will do the same thing. It will map out what's in the water. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut now and go to a screenshot, let you guys see what's in the app, how it pretty much works, and see the different things that you can do in the app. After that, I'll come back with final thoughts. See you in a minute. Okay guys, I wanted to show you a quick look inside of the app, kind of see how it looks. I actually paired my IBobber, so what you're seeing at the very top there is the IBobber. It's actually live, so that's what it will look like once you pair it up and sync it. You'll see that bobber, it just kind of gives you an indicator that it is connected to the app. So down at the bottom here, you'll see a little home button. You just tap that and it opens up your sonar, waterbed, weather, global plotter. Sonar basically just, reads the water, reads the terrain, tells you where the fish are at, the depth, etc. There's a feature on here that I believe is color coded. I'm going to show you in the demo, but I believe that the fish, when they're green, those are supposed to they're supposed to be representative of your larger fish, and the orange ones are your smaller fish. Don't quote me on this, but I think somewhere between 10 to 12 inches, somewhere in that neighborhood for the smaller fish, and then 12 and above is going to be for your larger fish. So Again, don't quote me on that, but I do know for a fact that the green does represent your larger fish. So I'm going to go to demo mode here in a second, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Again, there's your weather. You have your global plotter, which just tells you, if you tap that, it just shows you. I was just going to tap and let you guys see. It just shows you around the globe, basically who's using this IBobber. Those little, beacons that you see. That's just telling you as an example. There's just one big network, the matrix, if you will, the matrix. Okay. All right. Let me go back out and let's go into settings. And of course, you have your Bluetooth sync right there. That's how you would actually sync this thing up. Language, you can choose that if you're not speaking English. Anti-glare, you can turn that on and off. If you're using it out in the sunlight, you'll definitely want to have that on. Sonar demo, that's what we want to turn on. So let's turn that on, and let's just close this out. And tap at the top left where you see that fish, and it's going to give us demo mode. So what you're seeing now is the demo, and you can look at the bottom of the screen and you see the fish coming by. It shows you kind of the terrain changing, and you'll see some grassy areas that'll come through the screen as well. Now, what I told you guys about as far as the color codes, okay? If you can see on the screen there's fish coming by, that number represents the depth of which they're swimming, okay? And then that color tells you that that is a smaller fish if it's an orange. And if you see that green, it's telling you that that is a larger fish. Now, I have used this, and I'm going to tell you guys right off of the bat, this thing, from my experience, and again, I'm speaking from my experience, okay? This is not everybody's experience, okay? But where I fished and when I was using this thing was very, very accurate in terms of the actual fish that I was seeing on the screen. I literally broke about 3 lines, I know. I had to restring my line because the kind of fish that I was getting and hits on my line was monsters. I mean, people say, oh, I caught the big one. No, I can't tell you for a fact what size they were, but I was fishing with a 20-pound test, and I wasn't getting hung up on any brush or anything. I literally was getting my line snapped, and whatever I was catching was literally snapping that line. But it was pretty accurate. Pretty much every time I cast it into the water, I was getting a hit, I was able to catch some alligator gars and a few catfish. But this thing, from what I saw in terms of letting me know and mapping out the area and the terrain, was pretty accurate. So as you guys can see, that's what you're going to typically see. There's another mode here that you can check as well, the terrain underwater. This one I particularly like using because it's just straightforward. It's just simple. You look at it, it tells you how deep they are, what size they are, and it also maps out the terrain. Okay. Once you sink this thing and you cast the bobber into the water, at that point it will actually turn on. Okay, that will not happen unless you actually throw the bobber into the water. Now it'll tell you to reel it in real slow, and then you'll recast it out there. But once it hits that water, it'll activate and turn on. So that's kind of a look around the app there. Real simple, but this kind of gives you an idea of how it's supposed to look once you get this thing up and running. All right, one last thing. Your trip log here will actually log your trips. If you were in a hot spot, hot zone, you were catching some nice brim, catfish, bass, whatever. This will basically log that trip for you so that you can go back to that same spot. So not a lot of nice features in the app. This is an app that can be very, very helpful. It can assist you in catching some potential great catches, large fish, small fish, whatever. But I find it to be a helpful tool. All right, I'm going to see you guys on the other side. Okay, and we're back from that shot of the app, and hopefully you guys were just able to see pretty much what it's supposed to do, or what to at least look for once you guys go in the app, and the different features that you can turn on, alarm striker and all that good stuff as well. So you know, pretty much I said on the front end, I love this thing. You know, the first time I used it, I was hooked, literally, figuratively too. I was hooked on this thing. I actually, as I was explaining in the app, there's a feature that will tell you if it's a green fish swimming by. That tells you pretty much it's a bigger fish. And of course you have the orange icon that tells you that they're smaller fish. This thing was so accurate when I used it the first time, the lake that I was fishing at, that I actually snapped my line, and I was fishing with a 20-pound test. So that's not anything, you know, I wasn't fishing for nothing that, you know, we're talking about top shelf, you know, goldfish type size fish. I'm talking about stuff that's, you know, anywhere between 10 pounds, 15 pounds. This device actually was very accurate in showing me some pretty large fish in the lake in the particular area that I was in. And as I said, I snapped my line 3 times just watching it. I mean, literally watching my bobber get hit and going down, and then trying to reel that thing in, and fish just all over the place. And so as far as the information that it put out, the first time I used it right out the box, and this is my experience, I'm not speaking to say that, you know, you'll have the same experience. I'm just telling you that all depends on factors like where you're fishing at, what type of day, the lake as well. So, but for my example, when I used this thing the first time out the box, I had very good success with it. And in fact, every time I put my line in the water, it was getting hit. And just had an enjoyable time just, you know, utilizing this thing. You can hook it up to your phone, tablet, whatever, and just kind of set it up as a monitor and watch the water and just kind of see what's in the area, you know. And like I said, you don't have to sit up and waste a lot of time. If you're just sitting there and nothing's happening, there's no action, you don't see any movement, you know, pack up and move down the bank until you see something. So on that note, I will say that the IBobber, it is definitely 2 thumbs up for me. I will continue to use this, and hopefully it will give me many successful trips and save me a lot of time from just sitting in spots that are not producing any fish. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys have liked this review. If you have any comments or questions, concerns, by all means do put the comments below the video.
Yeah!
And I will try to do my best to get back in touch with you guys and answer you guys as soon as I can. There you have it. You guys have been on another episode of Information Station JW, where you guys know you can get information and reviews that you can most definitely count on. Until next time, peace.